Good morning, ATLians. It's another beautiful Five Stripe Friday in Atlanta, Georgia, and wherever you're listening from. We hope it's beautiful. We're ATLians United Podcast. We're back. It's an exciting day. It's episode number 26. We have Montreal at Montreal coming up this weekend. I'm joined by my wonderful co-host,
ATL Joe.
ATL Joe, that was pretty tame. I'm Blake the Marshman. We have so much to catch up on. I'm not going to waste this time talking about what we're going to talk about. So let's cut to the chase and do this thing. It's ATLians United Podcast.
One second, big wall. We ready, need everybody. Inbound. We ready. Some days I smile like Mickey. Everybody united around my city. Mercedes Benz sound real pretty. Come stop for me and I'm ready.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Really quick. I would like to say a special thanks to everyone that came out to Gate City a week ago up in Roswell, Georgia. We had a wonderful time meeting some listeners of the show, meeting some awesome Atlanta United fans, meeting some people with some awesome talent, and it was a great night all around. I just wanted to throw that out there. You know, if you guys made the trip up, we so appreciate it, and we loved meeting you.
Yeah, it was wonderful. And there was plenty of beer to go around. So if you guys ever want to, go out to Gate City and just have a beer on your own.
Have a beer on your own. Hey, speaking of beer, let's talk about ice cream. I don't know what those have, in terms of correlation, but we got the Atlanta Ice Cream Festival in Piedmont Park coming up on the 28th. Tomorrow, Saturday, ice cream, hot weather.
Ice cream beer floats.
July and ice cream. If you guys are into ice cream, I can't really picture an ice cream festival. Personally, I couldn't handle more than a scoop or two. I don't know how you go to a festival. How many scoops of ice cream do you think you could put down in one single sitting, Joe?
Well, are we talking like a competition where I would be going up against people? Because I once won a King of Pops eating contest.
I did not know that, but I think that might be. Is it a story for now or is it a story for another time?
It might be a story for another time. I'm just going to say the night ended with me puking my guts out, and then for 2 weeks afterwards, I couldn't sleep because my teeth hurt so bad. It brings back bad memories. I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm sorry for bringing it up unintentionally. We got something else going on pretty cool on Monday night after the game, guys. The 5 Points MARTA soccer fields. We are doing a little soccer in the streets outing. There's going to be a couple other podcasts hanging out. I don't think ATL Joe's going to make it. I'll actually be out there with our producers. It's going to be a fun night. We're going to be kicking the soccer ball around up on the little 5 Points MARTA field. And, there might be a little podcasting going on. You never know. Special podcast celebrities around the Atlanta circuit.
And that's a great little spot. If you haven't been out to the 5 Points station with that soccer, it's a wonderful thing they built in our city for soccer lovers. Now you can just ride the MARTA train all the way to 5 Point Station, go to the roof and play some soccer. It's pretty incredible.
On the roof. Yeah. I mean, let's talk about soccer since we're mentioning soccer. That's what people are listening for the most part. I mean, we got some juicy drama and gossip coming up later, but let's talk about a juicy transfer. Alphonso Davies, who we dubbed the Canadian Carleton on a previous episode, has been transferred to Bayern Munich, the German giant, arguably one of the best teams in the world.
Oh yeah, FC Bayern. They always got the great players coming through there. And this is incredible news. And I am a Bayern Munich fan in my life. I don't know about you. I would support them. But they bring in some incredible players. The fact that they are coming to the MLS to bring up young talent shows how much that they respect the MLS game, and it's big news for the whole league.
Yeah, I think it shows the changing game that is the MLS, Joe, and I think you bring up a fantastic point because the MLS moved from a retirement league, and we're still getting those players that are nearing retirement, the Wayne Rooneys, the Zlatan Ibrahimoviches of the world, former world superstars that are kind of waning, and so they come to the MLS.
Waning.
Do you like that? Waning? Wayne Rooney is waning, like the sun. But at the same time, I think it's very relevant to hit on the fact that a lot of teams are investing in youth. And Atlanta is a perfect example. Alphonso Davies is a perfect example. This is a kid. He's actually Canadian. not just playing on a Canadian team, but he's going to be a staple in the Canadian national team, and he's got a good 10 years of his prime in front of him. It's going to be exciting to watch. He probably won't get playtime right away.
Yeah, no, don't get this wrong. Alphonso Davies was not bought to bring into Bayern Munich to go start or even be on their bench.
Right, he's an investment.
They're going to put him in their youth system and try to see if he can build from there. They're probably going to loan him out to several different teams throughout his career and see if he can work his way up to the top. But Bayern has a really good youth system of their own, but they also go around the world and shop for the best premier talent and try to snag them before anyone else can get them. And they went and found this solid prospect and going to see if he can make his way to the starting lineup or their bench in the next couple years.
Yeah.
It's just big news, and I want to see more and more MLS players get to that level.
No, it's fantastic for the league. It's fantastic for Alphonso Davies. When I went to the game earlier this year and watched him play live, he was far and away the best player on the pitch. He was taking Gressel up and down the field. He was so much quicker than everyone else on the field. Really excited to see this guy develop. Let's move on from other teams. Let's talk about our team. Let's focus on
Josef Martinez.
That guy. Oh, Josef Martinez. All right, really quick, I'm going to break it down. MLS Team of the Week, MLS Player of the Week. He breaks the MLS hat trick record, and then he comes out with a beautiful article and says, "I'm so happy in Atlanta." I think that about sums it up. Josef is happy here. Josef likes it here. Josef is shattering records. He just took the spot from Landon Donovan Giovinco for top hat trick leader of MLS all time. He's done it in a year and a half. This guy is tearing the league apart. Josef haters, you got nothing to say now.
Stop.
Just shut up.
Join the crew and love them.
We have other players to hate on now, but we'll get to that later. Final bit of good news, and I think this is fantastic. This just came out today, earlier this morning, or possibly even late last night. Tata Martino has turned down the Paraguay national team job. That is coming from Paraguayan sources. Now, he has not re-signed or extended with Atlanta United, Joe, but he has the option to. And him turning down this job, especially with, Tito is actually going to be Paraguayan from here on out, playing for their national team. It's very, very likely that he re-signs with Atlanta.
It's looking very much like that could happen. And if you don't remember, the front office a couple weeks ago threw out the contract extension. Not throughout, but put it in front of Tata, said the offer is on the table, sign it whenever you want, basically saying, we want you here as long as we can keep you here.
And that made my heart feel so warm inside.
I was fluttering a little bit, blushing in the face.
I mean, we got Josef saying he's happy in Atlanta. Tata may come back. It's all warm and sunny in Atlanta. Oh, I forgot to mention, the roof is fixed.
Yeah, that's wonderful news.
The sunshine's flowing in,
That they will open the roof during a pregame chant, and it's going to be amazing. We've got the most incredible venue. We've got wonderful things going on all around Atlanta, and wonderful with our team, Blake. Can you tell me if there's anything hurting?
What could go wrong?
Injury report. Injury report.
Wow. I'll tell you, Joe. Something could go wrong. And you know what that is? Drama. Joe, we got to bring in a special guest right now. To our listeners, you guys have heard her before.
Straight from Telemundo.
You guys know who
I'm just
she
kidding.
is. She's our co-host in spirit for every episode. Most of the time, she's just our producer. It's the wonderful Brit. Brit, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, why is it relevant, Joe, that we have Brit on right now? Like, explain to our listeners where we're standing.
Okay, listeners, if you've been in a shell for the past couple days and you haven't looked into any Atlanta United news or rumors or have no idea what's going on, Barco missed the last game. And everybody thought it's like he got in some sort of incident. Maybe it was family drama, maybe trouble. And then the rumors just came out late after the game and the next day, and they just keep unfolding. Barco allegedly slept with another player's wife.
Girlfriend. Okay, well, before we bring Brit in, and Brit, I'm not trying in any way to set the tone here. I know you guys both feel strongly about this, so I am just going to be the facts guy. For our listeners that aren't super caught up on all the internet drama, This involves a variety of aspects. It involves some anonymous sources. It involves social media. It involves some very weird hush-hush from the front office to the media outlets. It involves a player mysteriously being dropped from the team. Okay, so that's kind of the factors at play. Now, let's break down the actual controversial facts that we have right now before we go into speculation, and I'll let you guys take it from there. So there's a couple players involved. One is Brandon Vazquez, and one is Ezekiel Barco. One is one of our highest-paid players, multi-million-dollar transfer to Atlanta, and the other played with us last year, solid U.S. prospect. Thought he would get some more playing time this year, hasn't really blossomed yet. Now, let's talk about these two guys and what happened. Ezekiel Barco is a married man. He is married to Mika Romero, and I apologize if I said that wrong. This is just me reading it. They recently married this year when Barco came to Atlanta. She followed him from Argentina. Brandon Vazquez has a girlfriend since he's been in Atlanta over the past 2 years, named Alyssa Monique. So based on social media rumors and the speculation we have right now, I can tell you this. Rumor is that Ezekiel Barco slept with Alyssa, I believe, and that's all we know right now. This has resulted in Barco's wife, Mika, posting a picture of herself without her wedding ring and some cryptic message. And then it's also resulted in Alyssa, Vazquez's former girlfriend, making her Instagram account private. And Brandon Vazquez deleted all of the pictures with Alyssa off of his Instagram account. Again, nothing is proven, but it's pretty easy to see what happened here. And then Barco gets suspended indefinitely. I'm going to let you guys take it from here. That's what we know. What are you guys' thoughts?
For me, as a married woman, Barco. He went from being this shy, he came across as humble player from Argentina who took a really big opportunity in Atlanta, to now I just view him as this cocky 19-year-old with millions of dollars. And it's not a good look for him. And I know I'm looking at it from a personal aspect, but for me, it is very hard to separate some of this personal stuff. I mean, he's supposed to be like a role model to kids and, kind of show the unity of the team. And having this kind of shows the team could go into turmoil later in the season, which worries me. What do you think, Joe?
Well, the victim in this whole story is Brandon Vazquez.
Team Vazquez. Sorry.
He has a girlfriend of a year. I mean, it's not an incredibly long relationship, but a year is a significant. It's a good amount of time.
Year and a half.
And
Team Vazquez.
at that time, at a year point in time, you know that that's your girl. Like if you're not exclusive, everyone's like, well, that's Vazquez's girl. And Barco comes in and decides to go and allegedly slept with his wife. Now, I'm going to go ahead and state that we have no idea if he slept with her. We don't know if
there was a romantic encounter. I'm sorry for even suggesting that sleeping with each other. We are a family-friendly podcast. We're going to keep it at a romantic gesture.
Now, it could have been very much all the way down to just a wink and a smile, and Vazquez got all hurt over that and started drama in the locker room. But Tata Martino obviously stepped in and saw something and decided to bench Barco. But the best thing about it is that Carleton got some playing time. So I was happy in that factor. And then I found out later that Barco was the little guy that could. Now the question is, what do you want to do? Are we going to move on from Barco, or do we keep him? And my side of the story is I want to keep Barco on the team. I know this is a really bad look for the team, and I want to keep him suspended for indefinitely and give Carleton as much playing time as possible. But Barco on the team, and I would say let the two guys duke it out in practice and then move on, do your job, play soccer, and now Barco's got to try to earn his way back and earn the respect back of his players.
So I have two thoughts on this. I did play a collegiate sport, and there are times that you do not like your teammates. And honestly, you get over it when you get on the field, because when you're on the field, it is about winning. That's the primary goal. So it doesn't matter that you said something to someone in the locker room or whatever. And I'm assuming at a professional level that also happens on the field, right? So you try to separate it at a certain point. I think that if we bench Barco indefinitely, then he wasn't worth the investment that we brought in, right? So we obviously can't trade him within his 2-year contract period, or we lose a lot of money. I think I like the idea of putting him on ATL D2, but he did already start practicing with the team. So I am really curious to see how Tata is going to handle this situation.
Now, you just brought up a point, putting him down to ATL UTD2.
I'm
Wouldn't
bitter.
that be a wonderful, wonderful punishment? And say, Barco, now for the rest of the season, you got to go play on ATL UTD2. You're still under contract with us, and we're going to keep you for 3 years, because if you guys don't remember, his contract had stipulations saying if we sold him within the next 3 years, that most of the money goes back to Independiente. So that's part of my reason I want to keep him on the team. Financially, I want it on our team. But, Brit, now that you see Barco and you know allegedly that he has fooled around with another player's wife and done this, when you see
Girlfriend.
him in
Team Vazquez.
Thank you. Brit, when you see him out on the field or in practice or in pictures of him, how does that make you feel?
I mean, honestly, I have a very strong, I don't like him right now at all. I honestly had problems with his playing style before, so I'm going to take that out of it. But for me, I just look at him as a different person now. And I know you're supposed to be able to separate the player from the sport, but I don't like that he's a role model. I saw things today about little girls holding Barco Still My Favorite. I hate that. I honestly hate that. He is 19 years old. He should be a role model for the Spanish community here. And, you know, to me, getting married and cheating on your wife, in whatever form that was, it's still cheating on your wife, is does not show good character. And honestly, being 19, it makes me worried that his judgment is going to be a problem for the rest of the season. So I worry that, yeah, Tata might have nipped it in the butt, but he's still a reckless 19-year-old with a lot of money, and that worries me.
Well, then, now that you mentioned about Barco, let's see what do you feel about Brandon Vazquez and his future on the team, or in playing time, or just as a person?
Well, I mean, I feel sorry for Vazquez, but you know, it's not like he's super impressed me on the field this year. I like that he's getting a little bit more playing time because I want to increase our depth. But even when he played this last game, I feel like Carleton just completely overshadowed him as far as playing. Vazquez is so tall. I want him to take advantage of his height in the box, and I feel like he really hasn't found that groove this year with maybe the new offense. But
you know, one thing I want to say is maybe Barco did Vazquez a favor, because down the line his girlfriend was going to eventually cheat on him, and it doesn't matter if it was with Barco or someone down the future. So Vazquez was able to ditch the girl and move on with his life. So kind of like, thanks, dude, but I'm never going to talk to you again either. I don't like you. So bye.
Maybe. I mean, for Team USA, I want Brandon Vazquez to get playing time. You know, I would like that aspect. I'd like him to get back on the, because he didn't make the
U20 team.
Yeah, he did
not get called up for that.
So, you know, I think that would be kind of nice to have more depth in our national team too, and him grow there. But
so one thing that I've been speculating about and looking into is the chemistry on our team has been so solid throughout these past several 2 years of our team's existence, and everybody seems to gel so well. It doesn't matter what background you have. I mean, we brought in a bunch of South Americans and then a bunch of Americans and a bunch of Europeans, and everybody just gels so well. And then Barco comes in, and everyone didn't really know what to think about him. Everyone thought he was just this innocent young kid coming from Argentina. And you saw him in pictures with Josef and Miggy. It's like, oh, he's like their cute younger brother. Or now I go back and look at it, and I see what is going on in that kid's head. He's coming in here thinking he's a hot shot, and I'm going to be able to get whoever I want, do whatever I want. I love the fact that Tata Martino in the front office slammed the door in his face when he made this mistake, allegedly, and put him on the bench, punished him, and now we kind of don't know what's going to go on with Barco.
I feel like they had to. I feel like they had no other choice. Atlanta has been viewed as such the pinnacle for a lot of things in the MLS, and so for this integrity thing to come out and be so negative for our team, I feel like the front office had literally no other choice. So I'm very interested to see where they take it from here. I am worried about how our chemistry is going to change. You know, being number one or very close to number one and having such a shot at the MLS Cup and the Supporter Shield, it worries me that we're talking about drama with teammates so late in the season. I do not want our dynamic to change. That worries me. But you know what? I'm going to have faith in the guys that we can get over it. I'm going to have faith that the front office and Tata is going to make the right decision. And hopefully I can support whatever they do. But I'll tell you, I won't be buying a Barco jersey anytime soon.
And I think a lot of people, just to jump in, guys, aren't going to be buying Barco jerseys anymore. And no matter what happens, what decision is made forward, just Blake's hot take here, because I agree with a lot of points you both are making. I disagree with some points. I think that at the end of the day, we have a prospect who is an American, Georgia-born talent that, in my opinion, has been just as exciting when he's on the pitch as Barco, playing in the exact same position as Barco. And if worse comes to worse, and this actually ends Barco's tenure with Atlanta United, even if it's not immediate, if it's in the long term, I think this could be the moment for Andrew Carleton to step up. And I'm trying to see the light in this situation. And I'm also going to say, Team Vazquez for life. Let's move on. Britt, thank you so much for joining us.
He's one of our own. And
Brandon Vazquez.
He's one of our own.
Brandon Vazquez also is one of my own American.
Thank you for concluding that, and we thank Britt for stepping in for that.
Whew, man,
wonderful.
I am sorry to our listeners that didn't want a TMZ article blasted into their ears, but I mean, this is very relevant. This is drama. This is juicy. This is desperate Housewives of Atlanta material, Joe. We got to move on.
And so moving on, we want to go ahead and talk about our wonderful 3-1 victory with Carleton in the lineup.
Let's get back to it.
Josef Martinez scoring a hat trick, doing wonderful things. All you have to do is put the ball into the box in the vicinity of the Venezuelan Viper, as some people call it, or the Goleador, as Miggy likes to call him, and he puts the ball in the back of the net.
Every day, Josef Martinez, he might play off of that offside trap all the time and drive people crazy, but you know what? At the end of the day, he puts it in the back of the net. Josef, we love you.
22 goals in 22 games. 1 goal per game is not something you see very often. You see it from the elite of the elite players, and our very own Josef Martinez is doing it in back-to-back seasons, mind you.
I mean, it's kind of like, sun coming up in the morning, sky most of the time being blue. Josef Martinez scores a hat trick. It is becoming incredibly common, Joe, and he's broken the MLS record for hat tricks a year and a half into his MLS career. If Josef was to stay for another year and a half, I mean, it's getting ridiculous. He's a whole level above his competition right now. I mean, would you agree? I mean, this guy's on another world. He's on another planet.
He is very much so the most elite striker in the MLS right now, and he could play anywhere in the world. I believe he could play on any team. He may not start at Real Madrid or Bayern Munich, or now Real Madrid without Ronaldo.
Yeah, they might have a striker spot open.
They might have a spot for him, but he could play on just about any team where he wants, and he wants to stay in Atlanta, which is incredible for us. But outside of that, he has a certain playing style, and he's finally on this team where he is left to be the lone striker, the guy that people depend on, instead of the other places he played. He was played with a secondary striker, and he was the secondary striker.
Yeah, I mean, back in Italy when he played on Torino, he got stuck out on the wing some. He played kind of that second striker position, or almost a number 10, where like Miggy's playing now.
Yeah.
And he just never really got a chance to get a consistent run of games, play his true position at the number 9. And he's finally gotten that chance in Atlanta. We initially took him on loan last year. He played, 5 games for us, and the front office was like, we got to sign this guy. We can't send him back to Italy. And we purchased him, and it's the best decision the front office has made. They made a lot of great decisions.
Oscar Romero, who?
Josef Martinez has been the best acquisition this team has made, hands down. I think even above Miguel Almiron. Josef Martinez, gosh, I can't say enough good things about this guy, especially due to the criticism he's had at some points. Even in his Atlanta tenure, it makes my heart warm. I'm happy for Josef.
Other warm news in this game that we already mentioned before, but one of our own, Andrew Carleton, gets his MLS debut. We've been harping on it, wanting it to happen for so long. He finally got his MLS debut. Did he disappoint?
As a starter, yes, he got his MLS debut, and Frosted Orange did not disappoint. He should have had an assist. Obviously it bounced off another player's head, which then Josef headed in. But that was a cross that Carleton put into the box. Very dangerous.
Not to mention, right before the cross, he did a little shimmy shake, sidestep, and shook his defender, made the crowd go wild, crossed it in, and then the goal came.
I just think at the end of the day, and I go back to our topic, Andrew Carleton is not the worst Barco replacement out there. Andrew Carleton is an incredibly exciting talent. He's been scouted by teams in Europe. He is a U.S. national team staple already at this age. When the U.S. World Cup comes in 8 years, I guarantee you that Andrew Carleton is starting on that U.S. national team. That's a guarantee.
Wow.
Unless something drastic happens, a major injury, some sort of catastrophe, because this kid has all the talent in the world. So exciting to see him get his first start. I wish he had played the full 90 minutes. It was good to see Vazquez get out there for a couple different reasons. We had another player that made a debut, Joe, that we have to talk about. That's gotten overshadowed by Josef and Carleton and Barco drama. Eric Remedi finally got on the field.
Eric Remedi. He got on, and I thought he played a wonderful game plan and came in and did what he was supposed to do. But it was very, very, very small sample size. I didn't get to see enough of him. I want to see more of this guy. He is looking like he could be a bruiser. He could be a lockdown central defensive midfielder. I want to see him more.
Yeah, and I think we'll get to that a little bit later, how he fits in tactically to the team in our Tata's tactics section. But at the same time, how exciting is it to see this young anchor in the defensive midfield just come out and just not miss a beat? I thought he was going to be shaky at first, but every touch he took that I saw was a great touch. It was probably one of his first times playing on turf. I don't think they play on turf a lot in Argentina. He just gets out there, and he just looked part of the team immediately. And that was incredibly encouraging to see when someone gels with their team that fast.
Yeah, and he only had a week of training before the game. So that was pretty awesome to see him come to town, and I think it was less than a week, and he trained and got in the game. So now the next game he's got another week of training under his belt, could possibly start or just get late minutes in the game. And eventually it's going to be really fun to see the development of how he gels with the team, how he fits in. Is he the first, second, third off the bench, or does he force his way into the starting lineup?
Yeah.
A lot like Carleton, is he going to be a guy that's going to force his way into Tata's rotation? Is he going to be a starter from here in the future, or is he going to be off the bench? And we got so many questions now, especially with this Barco wrench that he throws into the system. Is Barco in our future? Is Barco going to be a starter coming up in the after a suspension, or is he going to have to work his way up off the bench?
Yeah, and I guess
so many questions.
We have so many questions. One question that a lot of fans are asking, obviously, is what are the standings looking like in terms of like the Shield? The entire MLS. We're still hanging on by a thread, Joe, but it's just a thread. And the New Yorks, as I call them, the Red Bulls and FC, they're right behind us. They have a little bit higher points per game average. We're sitting at 44 points as today stands. Red Bulls right there. NYCFC right there between 41 and 43 points. And FC Dallas lurking. If FC Dallas wins their 2 games in hand, they will actually be above us. So once all these games kind of shake out, kind of recapping where we're at in the season, not just this last game, because it was a fantastic game, beating down Wayne Rooney, who honestly played like garbage in my opinion, and DC United stays at the bottom of the Supporters' Shield. But what does this look like for our future? I think Remedi's a great point. I think Carleton's a great point. There's so much going on, and we got to hold on to this lead. Gosh, Joe, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, and I might want to bring up a little bit more about the standings and what to look forward to. But before that, Blake, I need a beer.
Beer of the week!
Every week.
Every week. And typically we do beer of the week as a local brewery, a Georgia-owned brew. But I had a very unfortunate event happen to me, and I really want to throw a shout out, and I want to dedicate this beer. If you guys don't remember, a couple weeks ago, my dog got sick, and last week I had to put him down. And it's been very tough on me. But his name was Guinness, and I'm going to bring in a special beer this week you all are very familiar with, and it is Guinness Draft Stout. And this is dedicated to my wonderful best friend, life partner, Guinness. And
This one's for you, Guinness.
I'm going to spike this one in. I'm borrowing the spike from Chris McCann because of his Irish roots.
Thanks, Chris.
Give me a little
ATL.
Ooh, that was wonderful.
That was cool. That was a nitrous beer open.
And if you ever have a Guinness in a can or a bottle and you want to pour into a glass, the proper way to pour a Guinness, tilt the glass at a 45-degree angle, and you slowly pour it until you fill it up about 3/4 of the way. You get a good little pour there. I'm almost there. And once it's at 3/4, you let it sit and settle.
Yeah, I always see the bartenders when I get a Guinness at a pub or something. They let it settle.
It's a little different
They
going
stop
out of a
it halfway,
draft, but
yeah.
it's the same idea going out of a keg.
Yeah.
But you let it settle and it rests up, and then you fill it the rest of the way up. And Guinness is one of a wonderful beer to drink on a regular basis. It's light, even though it tastes thick and full. It's one of the lighter beers you can drink calorie-wise. So if you're looking to cut some weight and you still want to drink beer, drink a Guinness.
Yeah, and Joe, I appreciate you letting all our listeners know about what's been going on. We honestly have a lot owed to your pup Guinness, who's still a pup and forever will be a pup. And yeah, if you guys listen to the show a lot, go get a Guinness this weekend. And for all the dog lovers out there, maybe even pour one out for old Guinness.
Yeah, and I thank you guys for giving me the time to do this, and I want to thank my friends and family and also my girlfriend who have helped me get through really tough time. I spent 12 and a half years with my dog, and he was very special to me. So thank you. Let's raise a glass and drink another one to Guinness.
Cheers to Guinness. We'll live on forever. Joe, let's continue drinking Guinness, but let's also get to the Montreal preview. So we got a game back up in Canada this weekend, Joe. And Canada's been an interesting place for us. We've won some games. We've lost some games. I think we played terribly in Canada last year. I believe we lost at Montreal.
We did. Early on in the season, we lost to Montreal, and that was part of our 4-game road trip, and they were the last of the 4. We were coming into Montreal thinking that was the team we can beat, and they actually beat us after we had a decent road trip going to Seattle, and I think we beat Seattle. We went to Toronto and tied.
Yeah.
We're like, maybe we can get some more points out of this.
Yeah.
And we didn't.
So
but this year, if I want to continue, it's a different story. Montreal came to Atlanta first, and we whooped up on them. Was that game ended up 4-1? That was the game Kevin Kratz put in 2 amazing, glorious free kicks on them. And Miguel Almiron scored a penalty, and I forget who got the 4th goal, but I think it was Miggy as well.
Yeah, he had a brace, and Kratz had a brace.
Yeah, so this is another team. There's another game that we're looking at and thinking we can get 3 points from. Now Montreal's sitting. If you have the standings in front of you, I think they're 5th place in the standings.
Yeah, they're hanging around in the Supporter Shield. They're a little bit further back. They're back at 12th in the Supporter Shield.
Okay,
but hanging around there at 5th, in the conference standings. So they're on the playoff fringe spot. We talked about our all-time record against Montreal. The 2 times we played them at home, we've beaten them. The 1 time we played at Montreal, we lost 2-1. We did go on kind of a rampage. We've scored 7 goals in our 2 wins against them. But this is just a tricky team. They have some excellent players. Let's talk a little bit about their lineup, Joe. Who do you think is some guys that we should watch out for on Montreal?
Well, there's the one and only top talent on their team, Ignacio Piatti.
Excellent player.
He is the guy that you want to watch out. They call him Nacho, which is a wonderful nickname. And you got to watch out for him. He's very crafty, very creative, and sets up a lot of their goals.
Nacho Piatti, the Argentinian player, he's 33 years old, but he plays like he's 25. This guy is exciting. I think we hit on him last Montreal preview, but every time I get to see this guy play, I just enjoy it. As a neutral fan, or even as a fan, like I said earlier about watching Alphonso Davies and just watching how good he is, even when he's playing against your team, you're just like, wow, that guy's good. He's fun to watch,
Yeah.
Piatti's one of those guys.
Yeah, and so they've won 9 games, Montreal, which is only 3 less than Atlanta's won. But I do want to bring up the fact of who they've beat. They've got one quality win on their schedule. They beat Sporting Kansas City 2-1. So that is a very good win.
Great win.
Other than that, they've played a lot of teams below the playoff line. Let's face it, they beat Orlando City back-to-back games. They played a home and away against them during Orlando's huge scuffle where they lost every game under the sun.
Yeah.
They went on and beat San Jose, the worst team in the West. And they've played a bunch of other bad teams. Another maybe decent win, maybe not, is against Houston, who's been the most mind-boggling team in the MLS, who can go on and beat Atlanta, tie New York, but then they lose games to Orlando and lose games to San Jose. Houston is up and down, so I wouldn't even count that as a quality win for them.
Yeah. I mean, the Impact has really failed to make an impact. No puns intended there, but
There was puns totally intended
yeah,
with that.
you know, I mean, there's a lot of things going on with this team right now. They had a tournament they were in, very similar to the U.S. Open Cup, you know, which is the Canadian Championship. They made it all the way to the semifinal. They played Vancouver, you know, and they lose this game. They had a 1-goal lead going into it was a 2-leg game. They had a 1-goal lead. They failed to secure, you know, an away goal. They get equalized, and then I believe Kai Kamara netted the decisive goal and won the game for Vancouver. Knocks Montreal out of really, in my opinion, the only chance they had of winning a trophy this year. So the team might be a little bit dejected going into this game. I mean, Wednesday night to Saturday is a pretty quick turnaround. You know, confidence might be a little bit low. We smashed them the last time we played them. I think things are looking good for our team, but they're still a dangerous team, especially at home. And I just think we got to watch out for these guys because at home, you know, they're 7-3. On the road, they're 2-9. So
Yeah,
they're a strong home team.
They're a typical old school MLS team that wins most of their games at home and struggles on the road.
Yeah.
But Atlanta United this year has been the most dominant team of any MLS team on the road themselves.
Yeah.
They have showed excellent road form. And I fully expect them to go into Montreal with their solid game plan, put all the news and rumors behind them, and come out and show up. I want to see Josef Martinez get out there and keep his scoring tally going for the infamous 28th goal, which will put him in the record books yet again. And if he gets another hat trick this season, he'll break another record in the most hat tricks in a single season with 4.
Yeah.
No one's ever done that.
It would be absolutely nuts. I mean, I think we have to absolutely address the fact that there's a lot of background noise entering this game. We can't ignore that. Between Josef Martinez, the All-Star game coming up, some drama within the ranks, other teams closing in on us on the Supporter Shield standings, Tata Martino's future up in the air, Miguel Almiron's future up in the air, Josef saying he's going to stay in Atlanta. There's just a lot of noise, and I think there's 2 ways to react as a team, and I think you hit on this earlier, Joe, and I totally agree with you. You either let all the noise get to you and you kind of crumble and let it affect the team, or you just turn that into a fire inside and you just unleash all of that pent-up noise, all of that pent-up background, and you just destroy your opponent. It can go one of 2 ways, and I know, and I really believe that with this group of players we have, we're going to turn all of this into just a fire in our bellies to go out, crush the competition, and get on a really good run right here. That's what I believe. I really do.
And the next schedule is lining up for us to do. We hit on this last episode. It's lining up for us to do so much and win the Supporters Shield. So it's a very interesting race this season. It's coming down to 4 teams for the Supporters Shield, being Atlanta, the 2 New York teams, and Dallas, who stunningly are all averaging right around 2 points per game. And last year when Toronto won the Supporters Shield and they broke the record for the best team in the MLS, they averaged a tick over 2 points per game.
Yeah.
So it's a kind of incredible that 4 teams have a chance to break Toronto's record this late into the season.
Well, we cannot discredit these other teams that are at the top with us. Both of the New York teams, both NYCFC and the Red Bulls, are fantastic teams. Yes, they have heavy financial backing from, some of it is what Manchester City kind of funnels down into NYCFC. It's actually owned by the same people. And the Red Bulls, obviously Red Bull's a pretty big company worldwide. So they have a lot of investment, but these are great teams.
And then Dallas on the other side is a team that's done a MLS first and invested heavily in their youth, and they have been a solid Western Conference team for the last several years, and now their youth is starting to become their starters, and they're showing how solid of and versatile their team is. And so Atlanta is a couple games ahead of them right now in terms of games played. But over this next month until September 1st, New York and Dallas are going to play catch-up, where they all play at least 6 games and Atlanta only plays 4.
Yeah.
And so you got a couple of teams. Like, I want to see New York City. They play 6 games, 4 on the road. And they've been a powerhouse at home this year. All their blemishes on their record came on the road.
Yeah, they win at the baseball field.
So New York's got a couple of things. They play each other. New York City plays Red Bull. And then the Red Bull have 7 games coming up. Are they going to win them all and take a commanding lead in the Supporters' Shield? Or will they lose a couple while Atlanta wins and then have a circled date on the calendar, everybody? September 30th, Atlanta goes to New York Red Bull. That very well could decide who wins the Supporters' Shield.
I honestly think if you have to paint a picture for our listeners, at the end of the day, it's 3 teams. I think Dallas, great youth development. Mikey Ambrose, one of our players, actually came up through FC Dallas's youth system. I personally feel that Dallas is going to fade. They have a tough schedule down the stretch. We, between now and the end of August, play 4 games. New York City plays 6. New York Red Bulls play 8. So this whole gap in games played is going to be, it's really going to be, decided in the month of August. And we're rolling into August. This is the month that is going to decide who wins the Supporters' Shield. This would be our first trophy in club history if we can hold on to it. And I know everyone in America loves playoffs.
Playoffs?
Playoffs?
I love playoffs.
Everyone loves playoffs in our country. But in every other league around the world, I have to hit on this, Joe. Winning the league, like being the number 1 team at the end of the regular season, is what everyone's playing for. The Premier League, the Bundesliga, La Liga, you name it. It's what the best clubs around the country are playing for, is who wins the most games, who has the most points at the end of the season. I almost think winning a Supporters' Shield should be equal, if not greater, to winning a knockout playoff format, similar to how the Champions League and the Premier League are viewed on equal standings, in my opinion.
I 100% agree with you on that.
So I think we should chase this trophy. Just because they call it a shield doesn't make it a cup. It is a beautiful, beautiful trophy, and it would be the first in our club's history. And I think we should give it our go to not only get this, but let's get this one, and then let's focus on the cup. Because if we win the Supporters' Shield, we're getting that first round bye in the cup. And I think would be the favorites leading into the cup. Let's go get 2, but I think we should focus on the Shield first. That's all I'm going to say about it.
And it all starts with Montreal this weekend, where I think we go on the road and get the win. Now, how are we going to set up for tactically this way? I think it's a good time to let's break it down a little bit further, Blake, in Tata's tactics.
Yeah. I mean, Joe, I feel like we've already hit on a lot of tactical issues this episode.
Right.
But let's talk about just a few quick things and a further tactical breakdown of what our team looks like moving forward for the rest of the season. I want to think big picture, not just how we're going to line up against Montreal, but how is Tata planning on lining up the rest of the season? We got Nagby coming back from injury, but it's going to be late. It's going to be really late. It's going to take him some time to get up to match fitness. So I think the first thing we have to hit on, and I'm going to ignore the Barco Carleton noise. We think Carleton's probably going to start this weekend. Barring anything super dramatic, Barco will probably reclaim his place on the left wing unless something else happens and Carleton is able to seize the moment this weekend and hold on to that left wing spot. But I think the real question is midfield.
Okay.
We paid a lot of money for Eric Remedi. We have Gressel, who's played great in the midfield since he moved there, since Tito's been back healthy on the right wing. And then we also have Larry, the legend, holding it down And then we got Nagbe potentially coming back from injury, who is arguably our best midfielder. And we still have Miguel Almiron in the midfield. Who is your starting three with everyone healthy with our current midfield?
Well, Blake, I would say it's not out of the question this week. As much as I love Carleton, I want to see him start and play. Another option that we could do is play a 2 defensive midfield formation right now with the turmoil, and you can see how Remedi plays alongside Larry and play 2 defensive midfields and give Miguel Almiron even more freedom to roam, attacking and all over the place.
Ooh, I like it.
And then you can move Gressel as the right wing, and something everyone's been really banging on social media is eventually move Tito Villalba as an inverted winger on that left side and see if he can make things happen over there. That is almost a salivating lineup to me.
Yeah, well, okay, so to our listeners, MLS goal of the season last year, arguably our best goal in our club's history at Orlando on a Friday night on ESPN. Tito Villalba cups in. He cups in from the left side, right? That's where he cut in from and launches the goal of the season. He was playing as an inverted winger there.
He really was.
And I think that, honestly, if you really break it down, he might be even stronger on the left side than he is on the right side, just due to how his play style is. He likes to cut in, and he has an incredibly powerful shot. What about midfield? You said Remedi and Larry. If everyone's healthy, I think it has to be, and I'm thinking for the future here, I actually think Larry might get dropped. And I think it might be our best midfield would be Remedi, Nagbe, Almiron, with everyone healthy.
Okay.
That is a deadly lineup, in my opinion, from what I've seen of Remedi and the potential that I know he has.
And now you're thinking in the future that Barco holds down the left side, or do you think he eventually might get sold on during this transfer window and Carleton or Vazquez takes over?
I've already mentioned this. This is Barco drama aside. I really think despite the money we played for Barco and what I've seen of him and Carleton, and this is just my personal opinion from the eye test, the naked eye test, Carleton is an equally talented prospect to Ezequiel Barco. I think they have very similar play styles. I think Carleton's a little bit more dynamic, a little bit more hungry to get in the box and shoot. But at the same time, one is an American, one's an Argentinian. You know, at the end of the day, they're around the same age. I think they have the same ceiling. And I think they're pretty equal players right now, despite one breaking the MLS transfer record and being wrapped up in this scandal.
Yeah, and I want to agree with you to the most parts of your point. I do think they are equally talented, especially by that eye test. I am more affiliated in loving Carleton. I have since the beginning. But Barco is still, I think, has a higher ceiling than Carleton.
Yeah.
And I'm going to put my bias of Carleton aside. And I think Barco really could become one of the world's elite players if he's given the opportunities and if he can get his head out of his butt.
Yeah, so lineup for this weekend, I'm going exactly the same as the DC United game. I'm going to start Carleton. I'm going to start the same midfield. Maybe bring in Remedi at halftime if we're up a goal or two and want to solidify the midfield. But at the end of the day, I think we stick to what worked. Even though we gave up that early goal to DC, we played great. And I'm actually going to predict the exact same scoreline. I'm going to go with a 3-1 Atlanta United victory.
I like it, Blake. I like it. And I really hope we see that same lineup. I could see possibly he would switch Carleton and Vazquez just to see who's the better player. But I'm hoping and praying that Carleton starts. And I wouldn't love anything more than Carleton going out and having one of the games of his life, scoring 1 or 2 goals, or maybe getting a goal and assist, or getting multiple assists. All you have to do is pass it to Josef.
Seize the moment, Carleton.
And Carleton can come in and solidify and really make it a competition as to, do you really want to take Carleton out now or not? So this is going to be a very interesting week, and want to see how this drama all unfolds.
So much drama. We promise you we're not E-News or TMZ. We are still ATLN's United Podcast, and we thank you guys for lending us your ears once again. That was a lot of fun.
And this was a fun show, guys, and I want to cheers one more time to my love, Guinness.
R.I.P. Guinness. Till next week, I'm Blake the Marshman. This is ATL Joe. Let's do it.